Welcome back, guys. We're gonna get going back to the normal content. Life's been throwing me a couple of curveballs recently, but I got the bench set up. I got my new press set up here, so we're gonna get back into it. We're gonna start with the 223 Saga. We're going to start by. I think I'm actually gonna start out of order with my process. I'm going to trim these to length, the shortest trim length in the Hornady manual, which I will cross reference with the Lyman manual just to make sure they're within a thou of each other or so. And then I'm going to size them. I'm going to wash half of them in the ultrasonic cleaner to get the lube off of them, the extra lube. The only reason I'm doing half is because I got a little antsy and I started priming a bunch of these without sizing them. So I'm going to run the half that are not primed through there and run them through the brass dryer and get them all done up. And then as far as bullets go, we're going to run a 68 grain Hornady bolt till hollow point match, and we're gonna run CFE 223 powder as well. So first things first, I have to take this off of the quick change plate, and we're gonna put our trimmer on. So bam, we're gonna hit it with a time lapse real quick here. I'm gonna try and stay out of frame, that way you can see the process. It's real simple. It's removing these two wing nuts down here, popping this riser plate off, and I'm just gonna take the whole thing with the press completely off, put it off to the side, and mount up my trimmer plate. And with my trimmer plate, I have to change out the guide pin. That's a 30 cal guide pin in it right now. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of adjusting on that. I'm going to have to trim one and check it to make sure that it's trimmed to length and then set that length for the rest of them. And typically what I do is I'll take a sacrificial case. I have one here somewhere that I shot a primer through but never reloaded. So I'm going to take a sacrificial case here, run it through the press, trim it to length, set this length and use this as a master for the trimmer. So I'll mark down on this case with a Sharpie, trim master case or something along those lines. And then I put it in my box for my 223 cases that I have. So I'll always be able to revert back to whatever this exact trim length is. I'll be able to just set it in the trimmer, set the depth stop, and go from there. So it'll always be a ready to go, quick set measurement guide for that. So I don't have to keep messing around, and I end up trimming cases too short, and then there's not really a point in me keeping them around, so I throw them in my scrap brass bucket down here. So that's just a nice simple way, a nice little easy hack, I would call it, to get your trimmer set up real quick, consistently every time. So we're going to cut over to time lapse. I think I'm going to run this through the press just to make sure that it's neck down and sized correctly first. And then once that's done, we'll swap over to the trimmer plate. And right here, I'm just verifying that I bumped the shoulder back 2 thousandths from the fired brass. That way it chambers in the rifle easy enough. So this one has been bumped back within half a thou, and that's good enough for me. I'll take that. I typically try to go 2 thou to 2.5 thou. It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve because all my dies have been previously set up for my Lee Challenger press. So now that this is the different system of moving the die up and down, there's a different way to set it up. And this one is actually more than bottomed out on the shell holder before it before it reaches the 2000 shoulder bump that I'm looking for. So now we're gonna pop a time lapse in here real quick. I'm gonna swap this out and put the trimmer in, get that all set up. Alright, so we got this all set up. I'm just gonna grab my book here and see what we got for 223,556 is going to be the similar load data. I'm going to go with the 223 because that's what I'm loading this as. This is not NATO spec ammo. 223 Remington. All right, it says here max case length is 1.760, case trim length is 1.750. So I'm going to trim it down to 1.75 and then set my depth stop on that for my single master case, and then we'll get going on the actual trimming of them. As far as powder, I never actually looked to see what I'm running for powder because, I mean, it's not going to be that crazy. CFE 223 looks like max charge is 27.4 grains at 3,200 feet per second. We'll probably stick somewhere in the 26 and a half area. I'm trying to keep it around 30, 50 feet per second on these. So, all right, we're going to get our master case set here and then we'll get to it. This right here, just in case anybody was wondering, is one of them like aluminum like baking sheets that you just use one time or twice and throw out. It's what I actually was putting my brass on when I was running it in the oven before I got the dehydrator. And I just popped some holes in it as a brass shaving catcher. So it hopefully is going to keep my workbench a little clean, my floor space here in front of the bench a little cleaner. But we'll see. This is the first time I'm using it since I did that. So we'll find out here in a minute. See what our overall measurement was because I never actually checked it. This one's starting case length is 1,756. So we got 6 thou to go down. And a little bit's a lot, so you just a couple of rotations, pull it off and measure. Until you get this master case set up, that's the best you can do. All right, this one's 175 even. So we'll lock in the setting on this. We'll put this back in the holder, run the guide pin in, and then we'll set that depth as the depth that we cut at. I might even back it out just a little bit so it's not fully making contact. All right, we'll lock down our depth stop here and that'll be it. Make sure we're not cutting anything. Now I'm going to cut one more just to verify my depth is correct. And then if it checks out good, we're gonna run it. Yeah, so you'll see the shavings fly off. If you were here doing this, you'd see the shavings fly off, and you would know that you're running it down a little bit. Now see this one I backed off too far. We're at 575 is the lowest I seen there. Yeah. So we'll put this back in, and that's why you get a master case. Master case. That way, if you have issues, you can just tighten that bad boy back down. There we go. That should be good. Put this one back in and see if it shaves any more off this time around. Oh yeah, it took some off of there. Mm. 1749 was what that just trimmed down to. Get a second one in there just to verify. One 1749. All right, so I'm going to mark this one as a master case. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chamfer the outer edge, not to mess with the depth setting, but to make it so that I don't catch my finger on it by accident. And then we're going to throw, gotta find a Sharpie. My workshop here is still a little bit of a mess, so work with me. I'm as you can see, it's just a mess. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab a Sharpie and then mark this, throw it in the box, and we'll get going from there. Got her marked Trim Master, and I have a little container here that's got seating depth master for my 53 grain hollow points. That's going to change because these have a different ogive comparative to the ones that we're running now. So this is more for a 55 grain FMJ or just plinking ammo. And then we got our trim master case here. That's going to go get popped in there. And this is just some basic information. That's 223 is what's going to be in this container. Shell holder for the press. It's got my master cases and my seating depth cases, as well as some random primed cases that I found while I was running through organizing brass a while back. So if I'm one round short for whatever the purpose is, I got 29 rounds and a 30 round mag, and I need one more. I'll just grab one of these right away, and it's already ready to go. All you gotta do is powder and bullet, and it's good. So that's how I have that set up. All right, now we're gonna get back to trimming. And I am just gonna verify the first 2 or 3 to make sure they're in the same range, just to make sure that my locking ring is actually stuck in place. It's actually tightened down. Some of these are going to get really shortened, a lot trimmed off them. Some of them are not. You don't know, but that's the point. Is you're making them all uniform again. That way, they all feed the same, load the same, seat the same, and whatever else. So those two didn't need a whole lot taken off, but the first two had a bunch coming off. We'll just run through them all real fast and make sure that they're all trimmed to length. And we'll be back. All right. So anyway, I think I was blocking the camera on that one, but I just trimmed all these cases, and from what I could tell, almost all of them got at least a little bit of a trim. Some of them were just a touch, some of them were a decent chunk, but now everything should be universal length across the board. That way we can go from there for loading. But this is where I'm going to cut this portion of the video off because I have to go get ready for work. I'll see you guys in a minute.